Are we live? I think we're live. It looks like we're live. What's happening, everybody? Everybody's having a fantastic, whatever day you're watching this. So if you're first timers or guys that are fairly new, I welcome. We're just talking cars, bikes, all kinds of moto stuff here. And pretty much shows like this, open chats, we can chat pretty much about anything. A lot of times guys will throw in, specific Mopar type stuff, which my background is a lot in Mopar and some of the push rod stuff. So anyway, if you've got questions, hopefully I got answers. At least hopefully I don't confuse you even worse than you may already be. In fact, let me get this camera sorted out a little bit better here. Time out. Let me try to prop this thing up. I think that's good. Is that good? That's worse. This is getting worse by the second. All right. That's production value at its finest. So anyway, guys, I got to tell you something. I know we're supposed to be getting excited about the Hurricane Inline 6 being offered in the Ram 1500. I'm a bit not quite as excited as I should be. There's just not enough marketing hype, not enough love behind this just yet. But I got to tell you, the prospect of the power numbers really does do a little bit of something for me. 400 plus and 500 plus horsepower variants. That's a good thing. And I'm kind of wondering if Ram is, or at least Mopar, Stellantis, however you want to check in, I wonder if they're going to do a bit of an end around using the truck division as their hot rod division, the way that they did so long ago, like in the late 70s with the Little Red Express and the Warlocks. And how cool would that be? The only downside to all of this, and I know that the 500 horse variant is supposed to be offered in all of the trim levels, at least that's what we're being told now. Oh, man, I just don't know if that's going to wind up really being the case. I think what we're really looking at is they're going to probably upcharge for that on a level that's going to be a little bit obnoxious. At least that would be my guess. Or more to the point, that's at least the track record that most other manufacturers have thrown together for us here. This thing is just really getting on my nerves. So that's kind of the issue that I think we're going to be looking at, is that we're going to have a really clean line of sight to a hot rod, but it's going to be dollars over dollars to get there. I'm hoping that I'm wrong, at least for you guys that want to build a hot rod pickup truck. But here's one of the issues that I have with that. Is it still going to have the wheel hop that the current truck has? Rats. Is it going to get decent fuel economy? See, one of the things that I've got to do my second thoughts on the DT Rams, because I need to put a second thoughts video together. That truck does not get very good fuel economy, at least compared to how my DS will knock down. I don't have any experience with, and I haven't driven any of the Wagoneers. Not that it would really do anything for me. I have nothing to compare it to. So I would need to drive a 6.4 and a 500 horse Grand Wagoneer back to back to get an idea for what this thing may run like. From all accounts, it's every bit as strong as a 6.4 liter. It's just that it might have a little bit of turbo lag somewhere. I don't know, because I haven't driven one. I can't really speak from experience, but guys, I almost feel like we're the beta testers on this. So I don't know. We'll see. I want to get excited. I'm cool with the idea, but we've got to get a little bit more. I need to see more hype from Dodge. It's cool if they're going to use the pickup trucks as a hot rod outlet, but I need to see something coming from Dodge. Cool if they had a Warlock, Little Red Express, 500 horsepower, sliding across the tarmac or doing something, anything. Because here's the deal. There are more and more every day Mopar fans, Mopar owners, recent Mopar owners that are moving more into Ford. Not really Chevrolet, but there are a lot of Dodge guys going to Ford for good reason. One, Ford keeps, propping up, supporting, catering to the enthusiast. And for a lot of these guys that are moving over to Ford, the reason why they're doing it is because there's no support for any of the naturally aspirated Hemis that we see. We are only left to guess that the Hurricane is going to have some level of support, mainly because it's forced inducted. It's boosted. In other words, it's got turbos instead of just dealing with atmospheric pressure. So there's that to maybe hold on to. There's maybe some hope there. And again, it would be sweet if they use the truck to do this. I dig trucks. 500 odd horsepower in a pickup truck sounds just like the ticket to me. I wouldn't mind getting my hands on one. But I think that the reality is that you're probably going to have to spend about $60-something thousand to get your mitts on one of those rigs. And boys, I got to tell you, I don't know that I am 100% on board with the prospect of dropping that kinds of large on a pick-em-up truck that, well, maybe also laden with nannies and potentially problematic with lots of high throttle input type usage. We don't know. But I will say this, it does kind of scare me a little bit that it's making 24, 22, whatever, and 26 pounds of boost respectively. But anyway, let me check in with you guys real quickly. And I'll get back to it. Jason's in. Hemi Challenger. What's up, man? Rome is in. Base is in. Hemi Challenger. Torque just feel like 6 will be weak. It'll be weak until it comes into boost. Gary's saying, what up, B? What up, Gary? Actually, one of the things I heard about the 6-cylinder is that it is a little bit laggy. If you haven't seen one up close, they're going to be really easy to work on. I'm just saying. Turbocharging side of it. Rich was asking, do you feel the value of low mileage Challengers and Chargers will go up considerably after next year? Nah, it's just a car, man. They're mass produced. It's just an automobile, man. I don't know. Stranger things have happened, but not really. Jason's asking, 224, 234, 112 LSA, 3600 stall converter heads, ported manifold long tube headers, the 85 and turbo kit in future. Should I consider collars and Stancy tie bars and collars? Yes. Yeah, actually, you know what, though? You're going to be well, you're going long tubes with E85 with a turbo, so that's going to mean remote mount. If you're sticking with the stock manifold, 224, 234 might be a little shy. But it's going to be a really good street cam. 112 will make it really good. It'll help it get it to boost a little bit quicker. At least it'll help it make better mid-range power. 3600 stall will also help it as well. You'll feel that thing really start to pipe up around $5,000. That thing's going to sing at about RPM. But yeah, it looks like you're going to be doing a remote if you're doing a turbo, and that would be A-okay. Nothing wrong with that. The tie bars and collars will be good because you're going to be, you're going to probably want to hang that thing at shift point somewhere around 6,000 with the turbo if you're using the stock intake manifold. Maybe 61 with a 224, 234. Actually, 234, I like the 234 for turbo, but you don't have to get too crazy with exhaust duration. There's a misunderstanding when it came to turbo cams. Cams just do camshaft stuff. It will make, and it will be in the same power band unless you've got a significant rising boost curve. So you'll be in good shape with that. It'll be a fun car. I was saying, you need to be, which car is catching your eye enough to add it to the stable? Do Hot Wheels count? I don't know, man. I'm having a hard time. When it comes to cars right now, I am, I hate to say it, I'm checked out. But by the way, this is ginger apple juice. Included in this bottle are the following: apple, ginger, and lemon juice. And it's spicy and it tastes good. What would I be interested in adding to the stable? Something new? Damn. I don't know, man. There's a few cars that I would be interested in, but nothing that I would be really super califragilistic over. I want something that I can enjoy. This is one of the issues with some of these cars lately. They're either way overpowered where you can't really enjoy them realistically on the street, or some of the older stuff that I've been looking at. I'm not a collector, guys. I'm just a freaking, you know, dumbass at heart. Like, I want to go out and play with whatever it is that I buy, and I don't want to feel like I've got to baby something. The way that I maintain my vehicles should tell you something about how if I drive them hard, I maintain the hell out of them. And same with my dailies. So, but the thought had crossed my mind picking up a Viper. If I could find a Viper that just was absolutely ratty, just a Gen 2 that was a turd, and then throw one of the Hurricane variants in it, I thought that would have been a lot of fun. The only problem is that for whatever reason, you have to remember Gen 2 Vipers are pieces of shit. They're not very good cars at all. Suspension geometry is way not right. They only really work with actual road racing slicks on a racetrack. Street tires on that car, not that good. I mean, they're good enough, but they're not that good. And I've owned 3 of them, so I should know a little something about this. But I thought that one of those would be a lot of fun with the right power plant. I thought that 6-cylinder would be really good power to weight ratio as well. But I need something that I can have fun with. And I don't know that there's anything. There's nothing that really comes to mind immediately, at least nothing that's new. The 400Z was kind of a neat, I don't know, a curiosity for a hot minute. And unfortunately, I've all but forgotten about the Supra at this stage of the game, which is a real bummer because that's a neat car. Lime's in saying, good. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Gary's saying, I love the shirt. Thank you very much. Cowie, yes. One of my first loves. Himmy said, Little Red Express came with a 360. It did. And it was actually the fastest car produced in the United States that year, too. Faster than the vet. Fergus saying, what's cooking? What's happening, man? Rum's asking, what's the fastest I've ever gone in Revlon? Not really fast in that car. I've buzzed it up to over 150 on, I've probably gone 150 miles an hour more than anybody that you've ever met, mainly because of data logging. So what I've done with Revlon primarily is whenever I would do data logging with it, it was high load, basically high load, high RPM testing, making sure all the data looked good, mainly making sure that there wasn't any weird stuff happening with lots of wind resistance, lots of load, lots of gearing load as well. And obviously high manifold pressures, or at least, stock manifold pressures at max for a considerable amount of time. So that necessitates buzzing the thing pretty hard into 6th gear. And with a 309 gear, you're about 150, 155-ish, I guess, somewhere in that range. But I've been that speed a whole lot of times. But typically, I don't really go fast in that car. It's kind of weird. Revlon's the Hellcat's a fun car to drive. It's a great street car, but it's a bit numb. If you're comparing it to like a Mustang or a Camaro or something like that, it's a bit of a number driving experience in terms of steering wheel feedback. Even with my car having been a power steering car, like an actual mechanical power steering car, but it's super stable. And so, to be fair, guys, I can tell you that I've gone significantly faster in other Hellcat variants, Chargers primarily, some Challengers too. 175, 178. I think 178 was the number I would usually buzz those up to. And you can't really tell the difference in terms of how the car feels. It's really rock steady. So, I mean, the difference between 150 and 170, and these are numbers, guys, that these cars get to so quickly that you don't really get a chance to admire the view, so to speak. And when you're used to going that fast, you're really more concerned about the data than the speed than anything else. Lime's asking, so what do you think of the new Dodge Ram Charger choo-choo truck? Haven't seen it. HU's asking if the Dodge is going to be any lighter. Ford used aluminum to reduce their trucks by about 700 pounds. Will Dodge make a mini truck like the Ford Maverick? There was talk of that a Dodge would be coming out with a smaller truck, although I don't know where that is. And as far as Dodge using aluminum, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't have a clue, but it doesn't look like there's going to be any changes moving, at least into this next 6-cylinder model year, aside from the 6-cylinder might be, say, 50 pounds lighter than the Hemi. And the DT is lighter than the DS Ram by about 250 pounds already. So there is that. Hemi's asking, keeping on the theme, so what's the absolute dream car for me to own? The problem with that is that there's not an absolute. It kind of goes in categories. And so to say that I don't have an absolute, I can tell you that but there are some cars that fall in and out of the radar, if you will. 70 big block Corvette with 4-speed, that would be probably very close to the top. Doesn't matter which big block, just any of them, for the simple fact that you're not really buying it to go fast. You're buying it to have some level of fun with. E-Type Jag falls into that. I've had an opportunity to drive and be around a lot of old school muscle cars, and I don't know that there's a favorite in there amongst those cars, although I will tell you a very cool car to drive is any of the B-bodies with a 440. But the only downside to those cars and really the older cars that you don't have an overdrive. And to get the RPM low enough to go down the highway at a decent RPM, you need to have like 308 or 273 gears. And that just doesn't make them, the legs are just too short, so for me, I've got to, if you take all of that into account, man, a vehicle that I really liked a lot, and I really wish I had never gotten rid of it, was my Lightning. I had 2 of them, and I should never have gotten rid of my blue one. So if I could have any of the cars back that I've gotten rid of, it'd be my Lightning. So maybe that's my all-time favorite too. Skids is in. The live snuck up on me tonight. What up, B? How's the T-Bird? T-Bird is at Triumph Houston, and she's going to be getting the cap delete pipe. Should be showing up Monday, Tuesday next week, or so I'm told. TOR tune, and we're looking at new tires, brake fluid, brake pads, and a coolant flush. And I recently did the oil change. But she's good. Skin saying, dude, my son wear that same shirt today. Ow, I love it. Hemi's challenge was like I'm a 70 Hemi Cuda convertible. I like it. Albert, thank you very much. And for the Hot Wheel fun, we need that. Gary, thank you so much, buddy. A little contribution to the cause, my bro. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Yeah, man. So appreciate it, fellas. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I have here you go. New stuff that YouTube lets me do. When it comes to cars, the thing is that there's so many different eras and so many areas that you can focus on. There's the high style of the 60s and you look at like a 66 Charger. The interior of that car is just to die for. You look at the interior of like a 58 Fury, 58 Belvedere, the Christine type cars. The interior is just so, you are arriving in one of these things. You don't just get somewhere. You arrive in these vehicles. You guys know how I feel about the 70 Lincoln Mark IIIs. Those things are obnoxious. Love them. And so there's different eras of cars. And you get into the muscle car, a true muscle car it's tough to beat the Mopars just in terms of how they feel to drive in stock form. I'm not talking about hot rodded stuff and all that, just how they feel to drive in stock form under partial throttle. You know, again, and you may hear me say this, if you need wide open throttle, you just don't have enough engine. The 440 is like that to drive. You'll find yourself, if you drive a 440 powered car, you'll find yourself not really wide open a lot. You'll find yourself at like that 3/4 throttle a lot because, you know, head flows, say what you will about head flow, but it's got a lot of velocity and it acts like you're really tipping more into the throttle than you are. They say Dodge Shadow revamp with all-wheel drive and the Hurricane 6 would be fun. Yeah, I've been saying, look, I'm all about the Talon. Bring back the Eagle name. I mean, dude, I was a black and silver Eagle Talon TSI would have been like obnoxiously cool for me. I remember I was at an auto show and I was just smitten with that car. Absolutely loved it. Really cool car. And, but that's what we need, guys. We need cars like that. Listen, this little girl right here, absolutely love that car to death. And it pains me that I'm going to be moving it along, but realistically, I'm looking for something more street friendly. Not that this car isn't street friendly, does street stuff very, very well. It's just that I want to be able to have fun with something, and not have something that it just keeps pulling until you're doing 200 miles an hour. It's just, it's not necessary. Plus, guys, be honest with you, the Hemi stuff is kind of waning. Love talking about cams, love doing all of that, but you know, this Turbo 6 is coming up, and you know, if I end up getting one of those trucks, I'm going to want to tinker with that too. Although I'm a little bit scared of that thing. Now I got to admit, you know, you hear all about the internals of that thing are really beefy and it's super good, strong, yay, until you freaking frag one, right? And then they're not. So I don't want to be a late adopter to that technology, though. I'd like to get involved with that as early as I can, provided that the initial impression leaves me wanting to continue that mindset, if that makes any sense. Let's see. Oh, Skids, one of my all-time favorite cars, the Termi. Yep. Still kick myself for not pulling the trigger on a slick deal on one in 2018. I have nightmares over missing out on that one. I hear you, man. That was a cool era, man. The early 2000s, Ford was just unstoppable with the Lightning, the Termi, and then you get into the GT500, which they didn't even have to make that car, guys. I mean, it still blows my mind that they made the GT500. But I hear you on that. There was a hot minute where you could pick one up kind of inexpensively, but they've never been cheap. I say inexpensively, less expensive than they are even now. Lime's in saying the new Charger is an electric truck with a Pentastar V6 hooked to a generator. That's pretty funny. But you know what? It's only funny until you run out of range, right? Bay saying, I don't need full throttle in my Scat. Grocery store adventures plus speeding ticket. Been there before. Oh, Gary said, I have 3 of 5 Pirellis on my 2022 wide body Challenger Scat, and they are worn out already. Any suggestion for a replacement? Yes. Look at the Falcon Azenus. What is it? Falcon Azenus, whatever it is that I've got on my car. Look at those. But they are the Falcon Azenus. They are really good tires. In fact, I can't, you know, I did the review of those tires, and man, I'm not going to say they're drag radials, but damn, if they're not, I think I gave the number as like 85% a drag radial on the back of these cars. It's really that good of a tire, especially if you're at stock. Yeah, you're at stock power, go with the fucking Azenus AZ850s. I'm sorry, that's that's a Turo AZ850. Falcon Azenus FK510s. Boy, talk about a mash that all together, didn't it? Anyway, yeah, guys, kind of one of those things where the reality of when you think about it, we really do need cars that are more suited to not the previous generation and not the generation before that. And I really am, I'm being honest when I say, I'm being sincere, I should say, when I say this. I don't feel like, I don't feel like, I feel like there's a generation that's just not getting marketed to. It's basically all of the Gen X crowd, all the Cold War kids. You know, we weren't born when the muscle car era was in existence, and none of us were around back then. You know, we lived through the 80s and had only heard about, you know, the legend of, you know, some of these cars as they were, you know, told down to us by, you know, uncles and things like that. And so, but we never really had anything aside from some, you know, rare exotics like the ZR1 or, you know, the Cyclone, the Typhoon, cool cars, Grand National. Now we're talking, you know, these are some neat cars. You know, then you really get into the imports, the JDMs also with the Eagle Talon, the Stealth and its variant, the 3000. You've got the 300Z. You've got the Supra in there, and there was a really cool time where you had some really neat cars that were, you know, cars that I would have seen in the mid to late 80s, right? So those are the cars that I would be the most willing to spend money. That's what I would be willing to spend money or add to the stable. It would have to be that neo retro type of car, not like a Challenger and not like a Mustang. I need something that is non-traditional from the boomer era. I don't want another Challenger. Don't want another Charger. Don't want another Mustang. Don't want another Camaro. I want a new Daytona Z. I want a new fill in the blank. You know, any of the cars that I just mentioned earlier. Those are the cars that I want to see, because the rest of them, it speaks to me in a secondhand nature. I can't tell you that I grew up just you know, about the big engine muscle cars. I had dynoed some of the Mopars. I had driven some of these Hemi cars and the 440 cars, the Max Wedge cars, my favorite. But there wasn't ever a connection, like a true bonded connection with some of those cars, the way that the cars that I grew up liking, you know, those are the cars that I would be, again, more apt to part ways with hard-earned money over, because, again, I have a direct line of sight draw to those things from a nostalgic point of view. Which, you know, it brings me to this other point, too, about the Challenger, the Mustang, at least the Camaro. The Camaro in name only was a Camaro. It was really more of a, I guess you could call it a younger person's type of a car. It sucked because it had a pushrod engine, man. The Camaro, if the Camaro would have had a stout V6 turbo option, that would have actually been a really neat car, only because it would have mixed things up a little bit and taken some of the Me Too aspect of that car away. At least the way that I saw it, like it was small like the Mustang, but had a push rod like the Challenger. It does everything. It's like, chick, stop talking. You're so much prettier when you just smile. Your talking mouth is ugly. That's how the Camaro, that's how I viewed it. You know, I love the 5th gen though. This is the weird thing. I love the 5th gen because the 5th gen was doing 5th gen cool stuff with the LS3, but I don't know. It's like when the LS3 era went away and the LT era kicked in, I checked out with the Camaro, man. I just could not get worked up over that car. Love the 5th gen though. Skids, I stopped by the Euro Motorcycles dealer in Plano today doing dang all these Triumphs and the Ducks. Dude, I'm telling you, one of the things that I'm really liking about reconnecting with bikes is that, you know, bikes were my first, I don't want to say they were my first love. So when I was, this is going to sound weird, but it's like you started liking cars And then you learned about motorcycles. And I had my first motorcycle when I was 5, guys. I had a PW50. My cousin and I both did. And so we grew up in a household where, our dads rode motorcycles. My dad had a brown and orange Z1 that he would ride to work. He worked graveyards and they would go racing at night. At lunch, they'd go street racing motorcycles, as well as his vet, and they did all that stuff too. But he was more into racing with the motorcycle than he was with the car for a decent chunk of years. And so, when I was a kid, I had my PW50, then I had my KX80, and then things kind of went crazy from there. But I started out, in my first love had always been motorcycles. At least that's, especially when I was a kid, because it's not like you can drive a car when you're 14 years old or 12 years old, but you can definitely, send your kid out on a dirt bike and have him clearing berms, right? So I guess for me, there's so much variety and diversity in the motorcycle market that you're never going to see in cars. But where you did see that variety and diversity was in the muscle car era, the golden age of the muscle car era. There was so many different flavors to choose from. You had AMC, Buick, you had the Buick, Oldsmobile, Pontiac, all had hot rods. You had the Mopar variants with the Challenger, the Charger, the Cuda. You had the Chevrolet variants. I mean, it's how many variants of hot rod neat cars did you have? Fast forward to today, where you had 3, and then you can add in the 400Z and the Supra if you like. But you can kind of see where this is going. Well, if you just go back a little bit, though, you had the Cold War era cool cars. You had the Camaro, the Mustang, the Vet. But you also had the Daytona, these front wheel drive hot rods, the Omni. Later on, you had the Spirit rather. You had the everything. I mean, you had the Eagle variants, all the turbo stuff, and then the Chevy variants with, again, aforementioned, the Grand National and all the trucks, the Typhoon and the Cyclone, all these neat cars. And you had a more diverse variety, I guess, than you have now. Well, motorcycles are the exact same way. They've always been like this. There are multiple seats for every ass. And, you guys know I've got my 98 T595, which is, I'm constantly working on these days, but it's just a riot to ride. I've got my Triumph Thunderbird, which I wasn't really a cruiser guy. I'm not going to say I'm a convert yet, but I really, really, really like that bike a lot. And I'm learning to like it even more every time I ride it. Boost, thank you very much, brother. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Didn't have a question, but thank you so much for the contribution, brother. But the motorcycle thing, like, so for example, Triumph does the retro style better than anybody. You've got Kawasaki with the Z900 RS. Absolutely dig that bike. I actually went and test fit one recently. Yeah, that bike in standard, but with the cafe bars and a tail tidy, Acro 4-1 remap on the ECU with the stock muffler, and throw in the Z900 cams to boot. Yeah, that's kind of maybe what I might end up doing. So anyway, there's that too. You've got so many different, and the list goes on and on. Motorcycles, every bike has its own unique personality, and every unique personality fits somebody's eye and somebody's frame exceptionally well. So there's so much to choose from. And it's neat too, because in motorcycles, yeah, you've got the leader class bikes, but you're seeing more of a switch, and it's been like this for a while. You're seeing a switch away from the super sports. There's not really a middleweight class anymore to speak of, at least not the way it used to with the 600s. But you're seeing a shift more towards these like sensible hot rods, if you will, bikes that will handle well, but look good too. They're not just purpose-built race cars, race bikes, like a high performance car could be. You can enjoy these things at higher throttle levels. But But again, boosted. Thank you, brother. Itch is saying, good day, sir. Good day, Itch. Skids, the visibility in the 5th and 6th gens is awful. Yeah, it is bad too. Skids, yep, I learned a little Yamaha 125 two-stroke for sure. Cool bikes, man. They're all a lot of fun. In fact, Orange Crush and I were up there together, and we were looking at, going, dude, we need to get, some 50s and do like a Nicky Hayden style, Hayden family style whiskey 50s. Because I always told my dad his generation, the boomers had the best hot rods. Just watch American Graffiti. That's true. And they worked on their own stuff. See, the thing is, back then, that was a hobby. That was a lifestyle. And you could buy the stuff for your car or whatever, and it was relatively simple to work on. So, yeah, actually, back then, it was really simple to work on. Oh, HU saying, I always want a Cadillac ATS-V 6-cylinder twin turbo. Those actually run really good. I didn't know the Caddy had a manual option, but I do know that they ran pretty good. At least the autos did. So, but yeah, so the motorcycles, there's just so much about a bike. And like I say, there's still knuckleheads though in the motorcycle scene, but for the most part, everybody is really cool. You don't really, not so much anymore. You'll get some, but you don't really get a lot of guys hanging on brand loyalty per se. No, but seriously, a lot of guys that own one brand motorcycles are kind of funny. It's rare a guy that only has one bike. It's a little less rare to meet a guy who only has, or who has, 3, 4. 2 seems to be the norm, but most guys nowadays are anywhere between 2 and 4 bikes in the garage. It's just the way it is. But you can have a completely different riding experience and enjoy these things in all kinds of different ways. But my Thunderbird, I've got a 2013 Triumph Thunderbird it's only got 2,224 miles on it now. Something like that. I don't know if Pedro may have buzzed around on it when they first got it in, so it might have a few more miles on it. But and it's cool because it's a cruiser. I guess it's kind of a power cruiser. I mean, it's in that earlier era of the earlier power cruisers, with it making just shy of 90 horsepower and just the other side of like 104, 105 ish. Call it 105 foot-pounds of torque. It's about 100 cubic inch engine. But it's okay. So it has a red line of 6,000. Oh, think about this for a second, guys. It's a parallel twin, not a V. It's a parity. And it's got a red line of, I don't know, 6,000, maybe 6,500. Peak power is like at 4,700 RPM. This is a motorcycle, y'all. And it's funny because it's got some old tires on it. And if you haven't seen any of the videos, I've been pulling a lot of weight off of this bike. It's got a sissy seat with a luggage rack, which weighs, I think it was 15 or 20 pounds. The big gigantic it's this one sitting right over here. This thing, it's plastic, so it's not super heavy. This thing goes for about 5 pounds. Anyway, the issue that I had with this is that riding it felt like it was right here, like it was right in my direct line of sight. So it was jacking with my I don't want to call it depth. It was messing with me a little bit. Anyway, I took the quick release bars off of it. I actually have 2 different quick release setups for it. So, but this is actually, I have 2 of these brackets, but all of this is there so that you can quick release those screens. I have yet to figure out how to make that a quick release. I just end up having to remove it with an Allen wrench. But anyway, all of that, all in all, I think I pulled 20 or 25 pounds out of that bike. Anyway, I took the bike out right after, a day or 2 after I changed oil in it. And it's got older tires. Eventually, I'm going to get to where I was going with this story. So I take the bike out, and again, it redlines at 6, maybe 6,500, but realistically, I think peak power is at 5,000 RPM or 4,700 RPM, whatever the number is. It's just like a 440, by the way, with its power band. And then you've got maybe, I don't know, maybe 700, 500 RPM of over rev. So you're constantly short shifting this thing. But if you roll out of the throttle quick and just really give it some clutch on the way out, it'll light the back tire up. And so it's kind of fun. I did it on accident because it's just, I'm getting used to this thing. And it, kind of does a little, actually just kind of stepped out a little bit to the right. I went, oh, shoot, that was fun. So then it just turned into me being a dumb kid with a bunch of torque and a motorcycle. So anyway, I'm really enjoying that bike is where I'm going with that. I'm hoping, here's the thing, if I put when the Cat Elite pipe goes on it, it's going to get a Triumph off-road tune, assuming that it's still in their system. And it's not enough of a difference. I'm keeping the stock mufflers. I'm keeping the stock cans, if you will, on the bike. So it's not going to affect the tune too much. It's not going to lean it out that much. But what I'm hoping is that it will allow it to make a little bit more power around 3 to 3,500 RPM to about 4,700 RPM and give it a little bit more over rev into 5,000. Because that's kind of where it cruises on the highway. I'm not worried about anything below that, but a little bit more power there will help. Skids saying some guys do simp on their brand. Already angling on another one. I have got to get an ADV. I really like the new Honda. Those are nice. The Honda Translat parallel twin 700cc, similar power to MT-07 Yamaha. Those are fun. 6-speed trans, yes, in the T-Bird. It does have a 6-speed. And by the way, 6 gear is an overdrive. It's a .9 overdrive. So on not quite 1-to-1. It's a legit OD. Which is funny because I find myself forgetting that it has 6 gear. And I buzz around in 5th going, oh man, this thing's kind of buzzing along. But MT-07 is a good bike too. Anytime you can compare something to an MT-07, that's a good bike. MT-09 is getting mad love right now too. So is the the Z900 is, but not in the way that the Z900 RS is. That thing is getting, I mean, it was released in 2018, and you'd think that bike was like a new release with as many people. I guess people are just really starting to warm up to them. Ryan saying, being all you bike videos talked about has got me in trouble with the old lady. A new 2023 CFM Moto 450 SS, fun little thing. Nice. Did you get it? Very cool. If you did, nice. Very good. Bravo, sir. Bravo. I'm really enjoying I tell you something, one of the more fun things for me with the bike is that it's allowed me to really reconnect with a part of my I guess you could say my youth in a way, but it's more than that because it was kind of how we were brought up. We were brought up around bikes and being outdoors and crashing and bleeding and having funny looking fingers for a hot minute until somebody came and reattached part of your body and straightened everything out. It's reminded me that, there was a time where, simple stuff like just getting on the bike and the way that bikes are interesting because you will see things and you will smell things and you will experience things that you cannot describe to people. It's just it's a thing that happens. So on a bike, you can be cruising down the road and you can hit a weather pocket. You're going over a bridge or something like that, and you'll feel it immediately get cool. Like you're buzzing along. It's like, oh, cool. It gets cool. And then you come to the other side of the bridge or whatever, and it warms up, because the air or whatever. You smell things differently. You see things differently when you're on a bike. And it's altogether a different experience than cars. And where a car a car is kind of like an extension of your house in a way. Like you're indoors, you feel safe, you know, you're in this car, you know, the world's around you, but you're just kind of, you're a passive participant in the activity of traversing real estate, right? With a motorcycle, you are you'll hear me say this a lot, you are integral to the organism that you create when you ride a motorcycle. And so whether that's a cruiser, a sport bike, you know, an adventure bike, which are really cool, by the way, any of these type or scramblers, which remind me to come back because I need to give you guys the menu list of bikes that I'm going to be doing a ride and then a talk about with Triumph. But because I'm trying to pick what my next one's going to be. But anyway, it is so much more of an engaging thing, even when you're just passively going from point A to point B. And so that's, again, I disconnected from that for a little bit. And it's really cool to reconnect in this way. And especially with the diversity of all the different options that you have. And so that's why I wanted to get something for my wife and I to be able to enjoy together. I mean, my wife used to love riding with her friends back in the day. I was big into sport bikes, but you know, this is something that we can hop on this thing and, you know, cruise out, do stuff together and just enjoy time experiencing this cool stuff that we both love, but we almost we didn't really forget about it. We're doing other things. And it's cool to get back into that mix, but there's so many other things you can get into. The vintage bikes, which are crazy hot right now. And for good reason. They're great bikes, like my Daytona and like the RC51 and the TL1000. All these cool old, and the Priya 1000 also, you know, all these old school V-twin, some of the older inline four bikes are big. The Hurricanes are coming back, if you can believe that. Those things were disposable at one point. The Katanas are coming back. Clean Katanas are expensive these days, especially a Katana 1100. So anyway, there's some really cool bikes from the tail end of the muscle bike era, which went on for about, I don't know, depends on how you want to measure it, 74, 84, 94, and I find it depends. I mean, 20 something years, depending on how you want to measure it. So, yeah, there's just a lot of really cool out there that you can get involved with. But let me get back to you guys. I was saying CF Motos are great. They're great. Yep. Sat on a couple of nice bikes, a lot of bike for the money, which is correct. Yeah. The CF is, you do get a lot of bike for your money. They will, you can have fun and not break the bank with those things. Skid's hanging out with Ryan. Ryan went hunting today. Very cool. Skid saying best motorcycle up in Missouri. Pretty country up there. Very cool. I like it, gents. Yeah, there's a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool stuff. But when it comes to bikes, and guys, I got to tell you, and not just talking about bikes. I mean, again, that was such a huge part of my life when I was a kid. This kid, sorry, be taking on the chat. It's all good, brother. But you'd be forgiven if you are distracted by other things. I mean, there's nothing coming from any of the big three American manufacturers. I don't hear a lot of, spicy details about the 400Z. The Supra is we all know about the Supra. It's a known value at this stage. Damn, is there another sporty car that you can think of? Maybe a GTI? Legitimately fast, by the way, when you tune them. Any of the Honda SI, maybe. There's just not a lot of, what's the right word? How can I put it? There's not a lot of muscly something. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. So there's not a lot of something to get excited about. And if you do get excited about it, The problem is that you end up with a real expensive situation. It's just all the cars now are obnoxiously expensive. And although they're powerful, which is great, they're a lot of fun to drive, which of course you would expect them to be. But everything is just so obnoxiously expensive. It's just crazy. So it makes bikes look real appealing. I mean, you can have the equivalent of, there's always going to be outliers, like $30,000 contraptions and stuff like that, you've got to really be in the mood to flex cash for that. But think about that. I mean, $30,000 gets you what is in essence the cream of the crop when it comes to a motorcycle purchase. Now, granted, there's Harleys that can get a lot more expensive than that. There's some Ducatis. Yeah, I get it. Maybe Agusta, maybe. But for around $15,000, plus or minus a couple of grand, right? You can have the choicest cut when it comes to motorcycles. Triumph Thruxton. Oh my God. One of my favorite bikes to ride. Oh, by the way, Skids, the T-Bird, as far as a riding experience, is just like the Thruxton without the RPM for an over rev. So yeah, it's heavier, but it's got a bigger engine, and you just play with it down low, and it'll be just fine. It's like a Thruxton 900, or if they made a Thruxton 1000, maybe. Anyway, you can have a clean, nice used bike for less than 10, less than 7 in some cases, usually less than 9. Somewhere in the $8,000 range, you can get a clean example of a Z900 RS, of a, insert your favorite bike here. If you're into Ducatis, I mean, what is it, 890, 900 Panigale, clean bike, the Super Sport like Skids' guy. Or maybe yours isn't a Super Sport. Yours is a, anyway. The point is, you can get something that is killer badass that also has the panache to come along with it. And it's fun. And most 99.9% of motorcycle guys are really cool. You get the squids, you get ultra squid, and then you get some kind of gatekeeper, just a-holes brands, right? It doesn't matter who it is. Somebody's going to be that asshole, right? Although I will say this, you don't see it nearly as much as what you used to. Kind of interesting in a way. It used to be that moniker was like the first one you would think of would be Harley Guy. But even Harley Guy isn't really Harley Guy. Not like Harley Guy used to be. And I love Harleys. That's the thing. I actually really like Harley-Davidsons. So, in fact, I just about came really close to buying one. But then this T-Bird came up, and I could not resist. And by the way, it is really good looking. I don't know if this is going to show up, but I took a picture of it up at Houston. God, this picture will not do this bike justice. Hold on. Let me see if I can get you guys a little bit better pic of this. It's just got like a bad. Well, anyway, here's a shot. Hang on. Anyway, it's a clean bike. I mean, it is really clean. I mean, like obnoxiously clean. The guy that owned it. Oh, hey. I got to show you guys this. This is a bobber. This is a bobber that they're finishing up the build on over there. Let me get one that I can show you guys. Shit. This is it's a true bobber that they did straight pipes, bit of a drag bar setup, and one of the custom seats. That thing is sick to death. I don't know if that's showing up, but that's one of the latest bikes, and that is That's what's up. I really like that bobber a lot. Not saying I would jump on one like to buy it, but anyway, this is I can't really crap. Anyway, the pictures that I've got, it's hard to really see. You won't be able to really make it out on y'all's end. But anyway, that's kind of what's up with these things. I mean, there's just some really cool stuff that's out there, and I'm really liking what the hell did I just do? I'm really enjoying the cruiser type stuff. Bear with me here. Let's see. Oh, Nikes. I just screwed something up here. Time out, guys. Why don't they give me the little slider thing? Here we go. Let's see. Oh, skids. Yeah, I got a 950 with the only. That's a killer bike. Yeah, a couple of ticks below 20. Yeah, those are good bikes, though. Yeah. Right. It's an impulse buy, man. Yeah, I hear you, brother. Right. So these chats and videos get me going. Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And the thing is, it's easy to get caught up. I mean, I damn near ran home with one of the Z900s that I was looking at. Skid saying 22 Street Bob 114 was 15K out the door. Nice. 25 total miles, still bone stock. Enjoy the heck out of both of them. Absolutely. Oh, Skid, that bobber is ridiculous, dude. That picture doesn't do it justice. And they had two of them, and one of them, the guy had the mini apes on it. And I tell you what, the one with the mini apes was nice. It was real comfortable, but the guy got to a point he just didn't want the mini apes anymore, so he put the drag bar on it, like on that other bike. And I was begging him, look, there's a stock bobber there. So, man, you got to put the mini apes on that bobber. And anyway, so bikes that I'm looking to do reviews on, I want to do the bobber because it's so different from anything else that I've ridden. And it doesn't have the goofy bars on it. It doesn't have like the older style bars. It's got more of a drag bar setup on it, but I want to ride that one. The Bonneville is a cool bike. It's the quintessential Triumph. So I may run the Bonnie. I really want to do a Scrambler though. And there's a Scrambler 900, not the 1200, but the Scrambler 9 is the one that I want to run. I don't know what it is about a Scrambler. I have no reason to like it the way I do, but to me, it's just a neat bike, and it's one that I want to do. So anyway, bobber, Bonnie, bobber, a Bonneville, and a Scrambler. Just to do something a little bit different, just to experience something that's a little bit different, and then. And again, this is weather permitting because we're getting into the cold season, or at least gross season. We may have to take one of the Moto 2s out. And actually, there's only one Moto 2 over there. The 765 Moto 2, which, yeah, that one may end up coming home with me too. I say that. I don't know if that bike would, but I don't know. A little bobber would be a lot of fun. Do a little build up on a bobber. Yes, bobber is ridiculous. Oh, Ryan, yeah, an old 88. That would be fun. I came on. I almost did it. I have almost done a build on an 88 on probably half a dozen occasions. And it was weird. It would be like something just would come up. But yeah, Springer front, 88, small motor, Not a lot of power, is something that sounds good and that you can basically roll around wide open throttle all the time. That would be a neat bike to have. Let's see. Oh, skids. Yeah, the Softail Springer is amazing. Twin cam with a bigger cam sounds amazing. They do sound good. Ryan's liking it too. Sovereign's got the cadence. Got the flex with the bald guy with the shades. I like it. Oh, Rome's saying, yeah, the car part prices are getting out of hand. Inflation for car parts, 20, 30% at least, dude. Stuff's amazingly expensive now. My phone notification sends over a fart sound. Let's see. Bond Scrambler is pretty sweet. I like the Bond Scrambler. I'm a Scrambler fan, and I have no reason to be. And also, I don't like the 1200. Like, if you're a bigger dude, like I'm not that tall. I think wearing shoes, I'm just shy of 6 feet. If you're a dude that's like 6'2" or 6'4", a Scrambler 12 would be a sick ass city bike, dude. I'm not tall enough, I don't think, for that bike to be real comfortable for me, just because it's like higher than a giraffe's ass, man. It's almost like a tiger, almost how high it sits. But the one of the best looking bikes up there is a yellow Scrambler. And I'm usually not a fan of yellow, but on that Scrambler, for some reason, it's like, that makes perfectly good sense. Of course it would need to be yellow. So I don't know. Skid saying, everybody just get on 2 wheels already, for sure. Ryan saying, oh, yes, you should have, do the front. Yeah, it'd be a neat bike. Okay. So you know what? Let me give you my Harley philosophy. All right. This is where I am with Harley-Davidson. I might as well just get this out of me, because I know that there's going to be some Harley gatekeeper running around out there when it comes to Harleys. Here's where I'm at with Harley. I love them. I love the motorcycles. They have the worst gatekeeper mentality, though. Here's one of the thoughts that I had when I was younger. And this is when I was really, you got to remember, I worked on bikes too, guys. I haven't just always worked on cars. If you haven't noticed, all the bike content, a lot of this stuff I'm doing on my own. I'm trying to show you guys, look, there's more to working on stuff than just me bleeding on cars. I mean, I got this all scratched up. This is from working on Revlon today, as a matter of fact. I always felt, this is so not right. If the mentality held true, then when you bought a Harley, it would be delivered to your door in a box, and you would build your Harley, you would assemble it, you would fluid the thing, and you would be the very first and only person to have ever started that bike. That bike would be yours. Like, that bike would be your bike, and you would never, ever be allowed to sell it. You would have to keep this motorcycle forever. So you'd have to pick just the right one, and you would test fit it, but it would be a bike in a box, and you would build this yourself, and it would only be yours in some way, shape, or form, right? I don't know why, but it always seemed to be in my head the only way that a Harley would ever make sense for me to ever own. Like, if I bought an old Harley, I don't want to buy a Harley that is running and driving and riding. I want the Harley to show up in a crate, and I assemble this thing from parts. I've got the Springer front end off the bike. I got the wheel is off. The brakes are off. I've got the engine as an assembly is off. A Baker 5-speed is sitting right there next to it. Everything. I don't know why. I don't know why my head works like that. I don't know where this cockamamie idea comes from, or why when I saw Harley, I feel like you know, with all the custom features and everything else and Screaming Eagle parts, like that's great. But and there should be like classes that you have to take to do all of this. And you should be a master mechanic for that platform. And I don't know why my head works like that. It's such a weird thing. But anyway, because I love Harleys. It's just funny. Maybe one day I'll do that. Maybe one day I'll just say, look, I want to buy a Harley, but I don't want you to assemble it. I want you to deliver it to the Z05 studios and I just build the bike here. You know, do the final assembly, if you will, here. I don't know. Maybe that's the only way I'll ever own a Harley. Maybe that's the only way I can ever afford to own a Harley. Anyway, would be funny. Would be fun. Let's see. Oh, Sovereign saying 20 watch but only 30 likes. Oh, Skid saying, yeah, I've ridden a Triumph XC12, but I'm like you, a 511-ish with 32-inch inseam. Yep. That's what'll get. Oh, damn it. Yeah, I definitely want cheek in it. Yeah, I get it, man. I get it. Yeah, the 1200 I'm like this on. And what am I supposed to do with this other foot? Like, it forces you to have proper riding etiquette, though, at least. In some respect, I mean, it does, but it doesn't. I guess you can still cover it. You don't have to cover the brake. There are some guys who you're at park. You must be covering the brake. It's like, no. Why would I do that? Anyway, it's gonna say, yeah, the gatekeeping has gotten way better in the last few years, but yeah, they're way proud of their products. Yeah, they are. And that's the thing, man. I like them a lot. That's my whole thing, is that I really do like Harley. I just, the cost of the things is just, for what I would want, it's just a little much. And I do like the power cruiser type of bike too. So, you know, the 104, the above, you know, because it's an air-cooled, basically it's an air-cooled Hemi, really. I would want something like a 10, at least 112, 114 cubes. But yeah, I think that would be, I would just want it delivered in the box for whatever reason. And I don't know why. My brain just will only allow for me to own a Harley if I've done nothing else with that bike, the actual assembly. Let's see. John's asking, why are you selling the Hellcat? Reasons and seasons, man. I mean, I have accomplished everything with that car that I have set out to do. We have met or broken national records with that car on, I've lost track of how many occasions. We were in third place, was the first time we actually figured out we were in the running with a 1027, which Mopar Jim and I whittled this number down, went from that to a 16, I think. Then he went a 13, and then I went a 10, and then he went 9. No, he went to, I know I went a 10. My dad was there to watch that one. He went a 9 or something. I went an 8. He went a 6. I went a 5. So, I mean, we were trading national records back and forth. You know, I've done everything with the car that I'm going to do. And I'm not going to say it's not fun, because it's fun to drive. It's a lot of fun for somebody that isn't really looking to do a lot to a car. They just want to have a car that's set up, ready to go, have some fun. That's the car for you. You know, I'm not a guy that's going to throw a ton of power on a car that I'm only going to be able to enjoy it realistically on a drag strip. I mean, this thing, you got to remember, this car is plenty fast, and in cool air, it'll haze the tires at 50, 60 miles an hour going down the highway. It's already not to be messed with. You gotta remember, guys, I was first in the last day logs for all of the hot rod Mopars from Pites. I was the one doing those. So, I mean, you would think that I would have, oh, I'm just going to throw more power at it. I never had the urge to. I had already been there and done that with customers' cars when I'd have to load test them, which is, I'm not going to say unnerving. It's just, you're more nervous that something mechanically is going to go wrong. Not that something weird is, anything. It's just just don't let go, hold on. And they all did. All the Mopars were always really durable cars. So there's that. I hated, by the way, I hated messing with Fords. I was always spooked when it came to the Fords because they were Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde sometimes. And I was always afraid of those things popping. So, anyway, that's why there's nothing. I mean, nothing against the car at all. Nothing against the brand. Like I say, I will regret selling that car, but I will be very happy for whoever has it. And by the way, if you are thinking about buying that car, I would get in touch with me as soon as possible and make sure you're able to pull the trigger, because I have a feeling it may be gone by the end of this coming week. So Friday-ish. So I would mean, like, if you got financing you need to get it on Monday. And if you got the cash ready to go, get a hold of me soon. So could have sold it to a dealership and use it as a down payment for a 170. Not interested in 170. Oh, sorry, saying you see the OC Motivator video, Demon 170s aren't selling. They're not. And one of the reasons why is that the dealers have pissed off so many people that, in fact, there are a number of folks that have been done wrong so badly by their dealerships. And these are significant clients. Let's make a distinction real quick, boys. There's a difference between a customer and a client. A customer will buy a car from you. A client buys all of their cars from you and may also have a fleet account that they not only buy cars from you for, but they also run through the service department. And I know of one person in particular that falls into the latter of that and has now completed the sale of all of their Mopar vehicles because he was done super wrong by his dealership. Yeah. So there's that. It's because he wants a 2025 Charger Daytona Banshee Belvedere Sebring Stealth Fury. Don't forget that one. Someone's asking, worst Ford ever? Ford Escort? No, I had an Escort GT with the GT20, baby. Love that car. No room to work on the engine compartment and brakes, transmission mounts. I had never had any problems with my Escort GT. It would autocross like a mofo and it would do nice, long, smoky burnouts. Did I miss a name? I don't think so. Escort Cosworth, yeah. The worst ever was the Pinto. Yeah. I changed my name to asking, are you replacing the Hellcat with another fast car like the new ZL1, GT500, or other Hellcat variants? No, not right now. I'm playing a bit of a wait and see game with that. Mainly because there's nothing that interests me. I tell you what, there is a car. In fact, it's for sale and it's not too far from here. I think it's don't get me a line. I think it's a 2013 GT500. It's a silver car. It's really pretty. And, but I'm not, here's one of the issues with buying another fast car is I've had so many that really never made it to the channel because YouTube didn't exist when I had the Vipers. When I had the Lightnings, there was a couple of like Facebook videos with the Lightning. Um, there's just really nothing that really gets me going right now. And to be honest, there's nothing that really gets me fired up in terms of a build, you know, except for maybe a Hurricane Ram 1500. That might end up being a really neat vehicle. But here's the problem. I still feel like we're being beta tested with that. And because of that, I don't feel like I don't really feel motivated to grab one and start doing a whole bunch of work to it, only to possibly end up fragging the thing. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm a little bit on the fence when it comes to that right now. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Pintos were bad because of where the gas tank was placed. Sam saying had to step away from Chrysler. They took away employee benefits. That sucks. His mom had a Pinto wagon, but after they fixed the blow up on impact field, yeah, that was a gas tank placement thing. Sovereign, yeah, I was talking about that Viper with a Hurricane 6. Problem is you can't find, and this is the other thing, the builds themselves are just getting obnoxiously expensive. You know, the motor, the operating, everything you're going to need to get it running. There's just so much that costs so much now. Even the old school crap, you know, that, you know, if you want to just do SBC or a small block Ford, Mopar stuff's practically unobtainium these days. It's just so expensive, man. And listen, dude, look, this is frustrating. I went looking, and I mean, looking for something kind of old school to build, right? I was thinking, okay, cool. I'll do an Aspen, like an Aspen RT. I thought that would be kind of neat. Maybe do something along the lines of like a Duster, whatever. Everything, guys, I'm not kidding you. Every single one of the cars that I tried to find that I was just going to do like a 5.7 and a NAG 1 and, build a little pissed off, whatever, 380 cube Gen 3 Hemi, just something fun. Something make about 5.25 horse that would just be, tire smoking, whatever. It's a neat little car. These things are freaking stupid expensive. And you're buying, a lot of times, you're buying something that is unsafe for highway use, which leads me to another point. If you're looking at the older cars, one of the issues that you have is, number one, they're older. A lot of them weren't well taken care of after about their 10th or 15th birthday. And they're about 50 something years old now. Lots of Bondo, lots of rust, lots of lipstick on a pig type stuff. There have been more instances of people getting scammed on these cars. Corvettes are really bad about this, by the way. It's one of the main reasons why I won't buy a C3 is you can have something that you stand there and you go, my gosh, my dream car has arrived. You got to remember, it's still a body on frame. And the underneath of that car could look like it has spent its life in salt water, and you'd never know because it's a fiberglass car. You end up checking and cracking and just the crap and the shit. It's just, Anyway, you can't buy a C3 and rest assured that thing is going to be safe, especially at modern 75 down here anyway. It was 75 miles an hour is like the right-hand lane. Up here, we roll about 90, right? And that's just the way it is. Those cars wad up like a piece of notebook paper when they get into wrecks at anything that resembles those kind of speeds. So, it is what it is, though. John, why just keep your Hellcat if you're not just interested in cars right now? Well, the thing is that it's a lot of money just sitting in the garage, and I can put that money to use. I can invest it. I can use that money to earn money. while I'm waiting for something different to come out. Right now, the car will only depreciate. If I put that money into even just into a CD that's making 6%, I can get money as opposed to spend money. And keep in mind, you're not just not paying for the car. The car's paid off. So it doesn't cost me anything unless you're talking about insurance and maintenance. I still have to drive the thing to keep it exercised. So there's that. And then there's general upkeep. You just find things that go weird or wrong or whatever. Like, I'll give you a perfect example of this. When I swapped out the front bumper support, it's okay. What the fuck was that? Anyways, nasty outside, so I don't know if somebody's sliding around. So okay, I need to make sure that I use all new, fasteners when you're putting this stuff back together. It's just a bunch of dumb little stuff that but it's again, it's brakes, it's keeping everything loose. It's there. You're still, even though you're paid off, you're still insuring it, fueling it, maintaining it, and everything else. So there's still a cost that's involved with owning one of these things. And again, I'm not, and your argument would be, okay, well, if you kept it, then you could trade it in on something and then whatever. Yeah, but the value of the car to me in general may not be as much as the value is to somebody else. And if that's the case, especially if they're a subscriber to the channel, they know the history of the car. I've used that car to promote the channel now for what, 5 years, 4 something years, whatever it is. I think this is my 5th year. It's in November, I think, that I bought it. So, and by the way, November 19th is that car's birthday. So anyway, that's the main reason why. And I think that, it's a great car. So, I mean, if somebody gets it, it will be a fantastic way for them to learn, some things and, have that experience on their own. Let's see. Oh, Sovereign's hanging out with Skids. So Sam said, I wound up buying a Nissan Pathfinder. Very cool. Nothing wrong with that. Sovereign, Hurricane 6, Toyota MR2 swap. Would it even fit? He's saying, right, sad deal. They want to cash in on nostalgia game. Then you better go hard in the paint. Don't come at us with another POS EV with a dude. Ain't that the truth? How do you put the stealth name on whatever they're putting it on anyway? I've already forgotten. Isn't that sad? I didn't even, it was like irrelevant statistic, memory wipe. It's just, it just didn't work with me. Sam saying, got a 49 Cornet down for sale up the road. Oh, nice. Okay. Pathfinders are reliable. So I'm saying I hate to see Revlon go. Yeah. Me too. I live in Florida, so rust isn't big of a problem unless it comes from Miami or Daytona. Skids, a 49 Cornet with a Hurricane 6 could work. Oh, the V6, yeah, the V6 and the M. I've heard of folks doing V6 swaps with them. But yeah, guys, like I say, if you guys are interested in Revlon, like I say, you know how to get a hold of me, bmasontv@gmail.com. Let me know. Well, golf courses, John, have gas-powered golf carts too. So by your logic, I mean, you can drive an 18-wheeler on a golf course, I guess. Depends on the rules of the golf course. But yeah, guys, like I say, it's just kind of weird. I'm looking at this, sale of the Hellcat and looking at other vehicles and trying to figure out what would be a good alternative, a good alternative purchase. And again, I'm just still trying to figure out what's really going to work for me. And you got to remember, guys, I don't have a local drag strip. I'm not an 8th mile guy. And to be honest, nobody really talks about 8th mile when you talk about these cars, which is a shame because they're hella good 8th mile cars. Someone's asking, would you get the new Charger if it does get released with internal combustion variant? Man. Skids is checking out. See you, brother. Dude, I mean, I would like to say yes. I would like to say yes and mean it, but I'm not all like lathered up over the way that the Charger looks. I think that it's if I'm being really honest, I think it's a sophomore effort at best. There is a tail view of that car. It looks like they worked their ass off for about the first 7 feet of that car and then checked out, let the B team finish out the rest of it. Just, I don't know. It's got a rear 3/4 view that just doesn't do anything for me. And maybe I'll grow into that. I don't know. I'm not there yet. And I understand it's a concept. And anyway, I get that, but it's just not as, I don't know. It's not doing anything for me. It's not doing anything for me because I don't know what audience is that thing supposed to be going after. This is like it's a car without a garage for me. And it doesn't matter if it could be a 1,000 horsepower car. It could be a 1,500 horsepower car. Pick a number that sounds big, okay? Just cartoonishly stupid fast. Thing is, I've got to like what I'm looking at, and it's like looking at the Tesla. I know it's fast, but you look at it, it's like, I get it. Like if you look at it from a certain angle and all this other stuff, it's kind of a muscular-y thing. It's like your brain has to put these qualities into the car. It doesn't show it. It's weird. It just doesn't show it for me. I don't know. I need something that I'm buying a car like that for pure emotional reasons, right? There's no logical reason to buy one of these sports car type cars, muscle car type cars. I mean, from a practicality standpoint, they get you from point A to point B. And a lot of times they're built very, very robustly to manage the power that they're working with. So from a durability standpoint, not too shabby, but man, I got to tell you, I don't know, man. There's just, would I get the Charger? It depends on what the final product looks like. If it's got a 550 horse inline 6 turbo, and maybe I could get it with a 6-speed manual, that might be worth talking about. Although, what would I do with it? Here's the other problem. What the hell would I do with that car? I'm not going to roll race it. I guess I could use it as a dyno queen and just see how much power I can drag out of it. Autocross, maybe. I don't know. There's not a lot of, how do you say, there just doesn't seem to be a lot of universal appeal right now for that car. God, Dodge could have already teased us with something. This is what it's going to be. They're just not doing anything with it, which is tragic in my mind. All right, let's see. Sam says, sadly blew my turbo and manifold on my 340,000 mile truck. Ooh, bummer. Finally let go. Man, that sucks. Oh, Sovereign talking about the Charger. Could be a little slimmer. Yep. I don't even mind the hatch. I don't know. I just haven't seen an angle of that car that I'm just all kissy face over yet. Yeah, well, what's in a name, right, Sam? I mean, I don't know. We'll see what actually ends up coming down, but I don't know that I am a player with that car. Again, it's going to depend on what it is, and it's going to take a lot to get me excited about it. That's for sure. So, but anyway, guys, we are coming up on an hour and a half, and I do need to wrap this up. Listen, guys, get out there and do something cool for somebody. Chances are they need it way more than you know. And with that, guys, we will catch y'all on the next one. Thanks again. And that's a wrap. Adios.